I'm Matt.
I'm Kerry.
We are the Stagmer brothers, a Baltimore knife and sword. We're going to be building some of your favorite weapons, and some weapons that you've never seen before.
This is Man-at-Arms, Reforged.
Ubisoft is getting ready to release another awesome game in the Assassin's Creed series, and we're really excited to be teaming up with them once again on Man-at-Arms. Ever since we made the Phantom Blade last time, you guys have been begging for another Assassin's Creed build.
This time we get to do the cane sword from the upcoming game Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
First off, I want to say thank you to Ubisoft. They were nice enough to send us this collectible ahead of time. We're going to use it to base all our drawings on and make this build as true to the game as possible. This is a perfect companion to be dual wielded with the hidden blade as he does in the game.
You can go out and buy the collectible, or just stick around to the end of this video and see how you can win it, just in time for the game release on Friday, October 23rd.
I'm pretty excited to go ahead and get making this, so we're gonna get it unboxed, see what we got. Here's our bottom section of the cane. This holds the scythe blade. Kerry's gonna do the mechanism work, figure out how to make this not only open, but stay open. That way it'll be a really functional weapon. This is the center of the cane, that the axe is the sheath for the blade. We're gonna make this blade out of cable Damascus, just like you guys saw us make the Phantom Blade and the Hidden Blade in previous seasons. This is gonna give us a really nice subtle pattern, also give us that kind of antique look. And this cable's from early 19th century, so it's pretty relevant. This is really going to be really nice to have in hand. It's going to give us our proper scale and shape for all our pieces. We're not really going to work from anything on this cane. We're going to do everything from scratch, show you some really cool forging, some really next level carving on the eagle head. It's going to be a really cool build. Can't wait to get it done.
When creating cable Damascus, we found that if we create a slurry of borax and water and then take the cable into that, it will clean out the grease, flux the entire piece, and give us a nice weld.
Before trying to forge on any cable, it's best to twist them as tight as they'll go. This will start the welding process, and then I'll hand them off to Ilya. He'll hand forge them, stack them, and begin drawing out his blade. Here we are now on our final heat. Ilya's just refining the point, doing a little forging just to make sure everything's nice and straight before grinding. Ilya quenches it in oil for a couple seconds. This helps reduce the grain structure. Smaller grain gives you a nice finer cutting edge. Now that we have the cane sword blade forged to shape, Ilya's gonna now move on to the scythe blade. This blade is made from the same cable of a Damascus billet as the sword blade was, so he's gonna treat it the same. He's gonna refine the shape, refine the tip, prep it for me so I can do some grinding.
The head on this cane sword is a stylized eagle head. We've chosen to go ahead and work in what's called fossil ivory. This is walrus tusk. It's thousands of years old. We're going to do a copy with a little bit of stylization differences because of the material that we're adapting this with. The first thing in the three-point process that we're going to do is we're going to cut out the basic shape. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start to do some basic contouring, and then we're going to go to the final detailing and the finish of the product. As you can see with this material, we have a very solid color on the outside. The inner, what's called the core ivory, is more of a granular structure, this being more of a ringular structure similar to a tree.
Now that Ferenc has finished sculpting and polishing the head, Lauren will be making the mold. This will be so we can make a wax and pour the bronze.
After the mold compound is solidified, Kerry and Lauren carefully cut open the mold to remove the eagle head that will allow us to pour the wax into the cavity.
Normally you see us sculpting wax. In this case, we knew we needed something that was basically round and the parts are going to have to fit later, so we bought some very hard machining wax. I'll be cutting the base for it, then it'll be fitted and ornamented before we make a mold.
So we've gotten all the fittings off the lathe now. They're sanded to fit. They're going to get ornamented by Lauren, but now they fit. There's a taper internal in this collar that'll replace this piece. This taper drops inside, and there'll be a lock for it, and the blade already fits all the way through that. We'll make molds, and then these will be cast in bronze.
Using a gas foundry, we bring the bronze up to 2100 degrees. In the electric kiln, we have the flasks between 950 and 1000. We pull out the flask, set it in the vacuum unit, and pour the bronze. Now that the bronze temperature has fallen below 900 degrees, we quench the flask in water and shows that the casting is perfect.
Alright, we got both our blades forged. Ilya left a little extra meat on both of them, which is exactly what we want. What I'm going to go ahead and do is profile them mostly to shape, and then go ahead and grind the edges roughly. He's also got to do the engraving on the flat of this sword blade, so I don't want to take too much off because he's going to have a lot of material to work with there. But it's now time to get to grinding.
Working with large engraving tools that he made, Ilya begins to border and then cut the design on this blade. I'm pretty sure he's never engraved on cable Damascus before, but he sure makes it look easy.
The hardest part about engraving Damascus or any kind of pattern welded steel is that the material by its very nature is not uniform. So you get a couple hard spots or a little bit of inclusion here and there, which blunts your graver and makes you work very difficult. However, I powered through it, and this is the final blade. Because this is such a delicate blade with even more delicate engraving, I have to take all the measures to make sure that nothing is burnt off, nothing is damaged. I apply simple soap. A soap is already neutralized fatty acid. That means it provides a neutral covering with no oxidizing element, because everything that can be oxidized in it already has. The second precaution I took is I placed the pipe inside the forge and lined the pipe with charcoal dust. What this pipe does, first of all, it prevents the edges and tips from being burned because it equalizes the heat. And second, while the blade is heating up, it's not going to oxidize at all. And the only oxidation I will be getting is in the journey between the forge and the quench tank.
Another really big advantage with taking such great care in the heat treat to make sure there's no scale on the surfaces, that I can start at a 400 grit after heat treat. That's a huge advantage. I won't be sanding into the engraving design very much, and I'll be done very quickly. Now that the blade is fully polished, I can begin the etch. I placed the blade into ferric chloride, which is going to give us our shattered glass pattern that we love to see in cable Damascus.
So we've got our bronzes back from casting. We've got a few little things to work through. We've got some air bubbles, which is pretty typical. The nice thing about an air bubble is it's extra material on the surface. The Scotch spray wheel is going to knock that right off and give us a smooth finish. And then we're going to go to the buff, and that's going to give us our flash. From there, if we need to redefine, we'll engrave or chase the surfaces. So now we have all the bronze pieces for the Assassin's Creed build. So the upper handle section, the collar that it all mounts to. We've got the head set in pitch. This is so that where we've done these repairs, we've added a little bit of weld where the pieces were missing in the casting. Ilya's going to take this and cut that out. There's no easy way to hold a weird shape like this, so we set it down into the pitch, which kind of holds it like concrete would. We can warm it up and take it out later. That'll allow him to really hammer on it and cut that material out and rechase it. This is the bottom piece. There'll be a solid pin, a series of springs, and a release that drops out and gives us our blade.
Now we have the Assassin's Creed eagle head polished and finished. I have soldered in 14 karat gold bezels, which is a gold rim that runs around the stone, and we're going to set the garnet in the setting.
So I cut a piece of red oak for the entire section of the cane. It's going to have to get turned down a little bit. I'm also going to have to go on the lathe and cut in for this collar, which sits at the top that the blade's going to be caught in, and the base piece, which is also about the same size. It needs to be a little bit smaller than that. So what I'm doing here is I've got a texturing tool. It was created when we made this chasing tool by driving it down onto a file that gave me a rough surface. I'm going over the main blank areas on this where you can actually even still see lathe marks from the wax. Just going over with this texture, it's going to give us a rough background. When we darken this and then repolish it, that'll make the whole background darker and only the standing ornamentation will be bright. So as you can see, we're in final fitting. The pieces all go together, they'll be locked down tight and fit into the cane handle.
Assassin's Creed weapons have quickly become our favorite on Man-at-Arms. I'm really happy with this cane sword. I can't wait to do the next build. If you'd like to get your hands on the cane sword we built this episode, follow AllMe Channel on Twitter and then tweet using the hashtag Assassin's Creed MAA for a chance to win.